Using divine intention to get a man's love and commitment. Hello, hello. Just like it says down below, your heart's desire and divine will are not separate things. If your heart desires it, it is divine will. Those things are one and the same. And tonight we are going to talk about you aligning to your heart's desire so you can attain your man's love and commitment. So welcome. If you are new to me here on the channel, I'm Coach Paula Grooms, a dating and relationship coach for women, licensed social worker, and author of the book, Why Won't He Commit? How a Man Decides to Make You the One. I help you find a Mr. Right, get an ex back, or grow an existing relationship with a man you truly desire so you create the relationship of your dreams and level up to the complete commitment you totally deserve. Tonight, we are talking about divine intention. What is divine intention? You may have some ideas about that, especially if you know me here, because what we believe, we create, what we overcome from our subconscious programming appears in our reality. And when we combine those two things with my mechanics of men, you get what it is that you truly desire, and you level up to the complete commitment you totally deserve. So I'm going to play here something from Michael Beckwith. If you don't know Michael Beckwith, he's a spiritual leader. He is someone that, oh my gosh, he's been around quite a long time. It says here he's a spiritual maverick and originator of life visioning, guiding you to ask the empowering questions to help you arrive at the ultimate realization that the answer is you. He is from, if you remember back from The Secret, he kind of made his debut on the world stage in The Secret. And he is definitely a spiritual man, an advisor, and he talks about this concept on this clip that I'm going to play for you. And I think it illustrates exactly what we are talking about. So let's just get right to it, and let me play that for you here.
I firmly believe that before we took the incarnation, we made a promise to ourselves. The promise was we would come here, we'd wake up, and we would contribute and distribute our gifts. Now, in any destination, you bump into turbulence. You fly from here to Seattle, New York, Chicago. The plane always hits a little turbulence. Then you land, hopefully, most of the time. So when you come to the earth plane, you come into turbulence. Societal milieus, beliefs, perceptions, superstitions. You move through the turbulence and the world that turbulence is creating. But ultimately, you, through some kind of way, you start to wake up. If somebody's listening to us right now, that means something is pulling them to be at this particular podcast to wake up, to know themselves.
Right.
So at some point you wake up and you realize, oh, I've been going through the turbulence. I've had some drama, had some trauma. I've had these belief systems. I had this religiosity, but now I want to wake up. And now I can begin to ask the question, what is it that's within me that really wants to emerge? What gift do I have that needs to be activated and expressed? Now, if I ask those questions sincerely in meditation, I am going to activate my spiritual faculty that may have been dormant because I've been caught up in the world. I haven't been using my intuition. I've just been using my rational mind, my logical mind. I've just been using, ways to survive. I start to get little glimpses and glimmers and intuitions and hunches about what is it within me that I really want. I do an exercise with people sometimes in which I'll put them into a meditative state. And in this meditative state, they feel that all of their needs are met. They're healthy. They have harmonizing prosperity, ideal employment, right mate, all the stuff. And then from that space, I'll say, okay, what do you want? And now they have everything. What do you want? And if they stay in that long enough, they won't ask for a car or another house or whatever because they already have it in the feeling tone. Now we start to emerge as what they really want, what their soul wants. What are they to contribute? What gift are they to activate within themselves that they are to express? Now they're living from, as you just indicated, their heart's desire and the divine will. It's the same thing. The divine will is a greater expression of life. A heart's desire is our unique way that we're to express the divine will, because everyone's different.
Right. He said, because everyone's different. That means what you want is different from what any other woman on the planet wants. Your desire is not separate from divine will. And so if you use divine intention, you are aligning with your divine will to create that divine right relationship you want. So how do we do that? We need to get the subconscious programming out of the way. We want manifestation to take the forefront, and then we do what works best with men via mechanics of men, and it all comes together and we align with the divine. Because it is divine when you get your heart's desire. It is also what I believe is the greatest gift to a man. No question. Yin and yang in the world. Men need feminine energy more so than ever before. I had a great conversation with someone today where she said, I'm having trouble finding a man that I feel has real male energy for me. Where I'm located, I'm finding a lot of men with very, what I would call feminine energy. This is because to the degree that we are becoming more male energied, men are becoming more female energied. We're always in harmony, always in balance. Things balance themselves out. And if we are continuing to stay in male energy when we are interacting with males, what are we going to get? More feminine energy, which puts us both out of alignment. So we want to align with the divine and know that if our heart desires it, it is the divine within us saying, yes, that's divine will. It's why when we align with I am, your I amness, as Neville Goddard would say, because when you evoke the words I am, you are stating about the God power or God particle, if you will, within you, the power of the creator of the universe, etc. Because we are not separate. Matter, nothing in matter is created or destroyed. It's just changed in form. Many would say we are giving God, if you think of it or choose to think of it this way, we are giving God the experience of us. That God put every single one of us here to give him or her, the universe, the experience of you. The divine will comes through you, and if it is your heart's desire, it is meant to be. So aligning with it. And I'm going to get to tonight. What questions do you have about aligning with it? Because it's going to take you as the woman in this duo, you aligning with it, typically first and foremost. Sometimes with some rare men, it just occurs, but I would say more so than not in the modern world, no, it takes the intention of the woman to have it and then do what's going to work with men, which is typically not telling him, not talking about it, not directing him, not being dogmatic, not disparaging. We have been, I believe, sold a bill of goods. And you have to be so careful if you are using any AI to answer a man. I see a lot of this going on now. A lot of it going on. And you will get, if you ask, how do I answer him? He didn't follow up like he said he would. I haven't heard from him, whatever it is. Typically, the communication style that has been put in the modern world will be somewhat on the scale of disparaging, showing disappointment, disapproval, discouraging, disappointment. It is extremely negative. It doesn't get us what we desire, nor what we deserve, or what will actually improve the man for us. The approval of him is not for his sake. We, as a feminine energy, are really designed to help a man become the best he can be relationally. No question about that. So you need to do 3 things. One is stay ahead of your own negative thoughts by what are you telling yourself about your I amness? I am what? I am aligning with the divine. I intend to create this relationship in a way that is healthy, happy, and mutually fulfilling. You see, if you stay in that mind space, when you get the disappointments, which you will because he's human, you are much better able to deflect it and incorporate the mechanics of men. I had someone today comment here, which I love. So put your comments definitely in YouTube. I come over, I answer them whenever they are here pertaining to anything related to men, relationships, the topics at hand. Absolutely do. And if you are over on Instagram or Facebook, I hope you will come over and join us here on YouTube, because I can more readily see your comments, answer the questions. If you haven't seen any of the lives where I have a guest on, meaning it's a woman in the 80/20 Wonder Club who gets to talk to me, via phone. We actually utilize the phone, and you're able to hear it, and I talk to them, and I get my questions answered to be able to answer their questions better. And any woman who's in the 80/20 Wonder Club can do that, and we can be talking here. So check out lives. I will put one in today's description so that you can see what it is like to actually talk to me here. And that's done anonymously. So I hope you will do that. So from the latest video that is out, it came out Sunday. Yes, yesterday. And it is a podcast episode where I was talking to a woman who she had had 5 wonderful dates with a man. On the 5th date, slept with him, but he wasn't yet divorced, wasn't finalized. And he was hesitating when there was any talk about where things were kind of going or what he wanted prior to the sex. But she went ahead and had sex anyway. And this gal expected things to change after the sex. And it did not. His communication was static. It was not steady. He was not texting often. And that did not change. However, they had a kind of a date, so to speak, to meet up to do a marathon together. Maybe it was 10K or something. I don't know. Something like that. And the day before, I believe he reneged. He backed out. And he didn't contact her much after that. I'm leaving out a few details, so you're going to want to go and listen. But the point of the story is that the day after the 10K, which they were planning on the day and doing it together and so forth, he sent a text like, I hope it was good or something like that. And she just answered, thanks. She and I discussed that on the podcast, but there was a comment from someone whom I answered today. You can go and see that comment where she said, I believe she should have said to this man, she did great and she ran the marathon very well, but she was very disappointed in him for not sticking to his word, and maybe something else. And I explain when I comment back to her why this would not be helpful at all. See, we must take stock of context. And she understood this, and I hope you will too. That saying that to him, a man showing that he's little moving back, didn't keep a date, that is not going to inspire him for more. That is going to make him pull back farther. Doesn't mean the sentiment of the woman is not right or not true. And technically, does she have a right to say it? Sure, but we're about moving the man towards what it is that you desire. And this woman, the guest on the podcast, definitely wanted more with him. I explained to the woman commenting that no, we would not chastise him for not keeping to his word. That will not move him towards her at all. And it won't leave him with a feeling of FOMO or missing out. And it will show her hand in this quote unquote, think of it, game of cards. At this stage of the relationship, it will not be helpful. Now, if they were in an exclusive relationship, they had been going along well, perhaps it could have been said, but in this instance, no, because she could feel the pullback. So instead, showing the man, I had a great time. I didn't miss that you weren't there. That is going to do what? Make him wonder. Make him, especially from the energy she was giving off, that she wanted this, going to make him rethink, well, maybe she is okay with this and more independent, and maybe I've misjudged her. It presents a challenge. It's reversed psychology in a sense. Now, many women would say, well, isn't that sending him the message that he can just do this to me? He can just renege on plans and quote unquote get away with it. You see, we have to rise to an occasion and guide step by step to him being in a space, context, and time of the relationship to receive it, and it means something. After just the 5 dates and the first time they have sex, the man immediately, with that kind of overt, slap on the wrist, he's going to run from that. It will not be useful. It will not make him wonder. It will not make him sit up and think, oh, wow, she didn't care that I wasn't there. That's a challenge. That's what, in this context, will move him more to come back. I happen to know that with her thanks, he did not answer that because he felt she was upset. And then she tried again to be contacting him. It all went south from there. It's unfortunate that we cannot just relay our feelings verbally and not take stock of the context in which we are in initially. It takes time. It takes intention. It takes some real thinking, typically pulling back and using what we know is catnip to men, allowing that man to wonder and that he's not got you. I hope that makes sense. It's very important that we choose things very, very carefully. We've gotten into a time now where everyone just immediately spouts exactly how they feel, and the other person should just take it. This hurts us. It does not help either party to grow into a more congenial way of relating and allow for the man to be the best he can be through inspiring him via what gets men going. Challenge, some competition, and conquering. I hope that makes sense. So let's move into Q&A for tonight. Does anyone have any comments or questions about what we're discussing here? Divine intention, anything going on for you? This is the time. Put it out there. And in the meantime, if you have not, I hope you will consider subscribing to YouTube, where there is full content and you can get more than just snippets. It's about growth. It's about using the approaches I'm talking about. You can get the podcast here on the channel. If you want the podcast in full and you want to talk to me, join the 80/20 Wonder Club. It's less than a latte, and you will get over 200 episodes, all ad-free and in full. Real coaching conversations about unique situations like I'm talking to you about, where we go from A to Z in a coaching conversation about these unique situations, but yet they are universal to us, especially now, whereby we want to be telling a man how to behave, and mostly he needs to be shown. Not specifically on this topic, but I wonder, how would pre-civilized man bond to a woman? Would he before marriage? That's an interesting question. I wonder what it is. I guess it's just an intellectual question, but is there anything specific about it? Because you see, there's a very interesting book called, oh my goodness, Desmond Morris. He's an anthropologist, I believe, and he wrote about this. It's things like we have in our society now, like honeymoon. Where do we get the word honeymoon? I mean, it's from way far back, whereby they would pair bond, take a male and a female. They would come together with some kind of ceremony. I don't even know if it was in any way religious, but they would send them away from the tribe. They would say typically like over a hill, to be alone for one full moon, which is a month. So for a month's time. And that would allow for them to come together and hopefully impregnate the woman. So it was one full moon, and because they did not have anything else to give them, typically they would give them honey, a sweet. So they called it honeymoon. Stuff like that is in our society, like the 7-year itch. 1950s movie, I think, or maybe later with Marilyn Monroe. Maybe they remade it. Probably later they remade it. But it's in our society, the 7-year itch, meaning a lot of relationships and marriages at 7 years. It's actually statistically 8 years when a couple's divorced. But interestingly, and in my opinion, anyone who's gotten a divorce knows that by the time you've gotten the divorce, which is year 8, statistically, that's when most marriages will break up, that the marriage was over long before that, like year 7. But the reason we have that in our system is because, again, a pair bond was made. A child would come from that, and it took 7 years for that child to be able to live in the wild on its own if it had to. Or most typically without the father, he would go off, be in a hunting group, and pair bond with another tribe, a woman in another tribe. So that's where inherently the 7-year itch comes from. So you're asking, would pre-civilized man bond to a woman before marriage? We only have, I should say, statistics about that pair bond stayed together typically for the good of that offspring surviving, and you needed 7 years. At 7 years, remember, we only live till maybe 30. And our fertility, interestingly enough, our most fertile age ever is 15, and it declines thereafter. We are still, in some ways, physically, I should say, in most all ways physically, if you want to use the term, prehistoric or caveman-like, meaning we haven't evolved beyond that. Mentally, of course. And we're showing our brains are not equipped to deal with what we have to deal with mentally. It's why there's so much more anxiety. So you're saying, based on my situation, the man not marrying but would offer that I am bonded to you. I still don't think I can go without marriage, but I wonder, is his bond possible without marriage? I say to you, he has to make a decision that you are the one, and then making a formal public commitment via a ceremony. We go back to, remember they had a ceremony and then honeymoon. The ceremony solidifies to the rest of the tribe. I, as a man, made a decision. This is my woman. And how men relate to other men is that if you make a decision, when you are a man, you live up to that decision. And if you know from my book, women view commitment as a natural outgrowth of love. Men view commitment as a responsibility. So when he formally takes it on in front of others, and make no mistake, that's what the rings are about. I've made a decision. I am bonded. I am, as the man, responsible to and typically for, especially in his mind, someone. And maybe more than just one, maybe wife and children. So a good man will do his level best to live up to that decision. 80% of divorces are brought by women. Men do not typically file for divorce. They will tend to suck it up and be in a marriage even if they don't feel like it, because men don't predicate their lives on their feelings. That's female. And men typically do their level best to not be female. This, we can say, the yin and yang is a good part of it. We want the man to make a decision and be responsible, because he can go out and he is meant biologically to just spread his seed all around. So we want him to have something encoded in him that he makes a decision and lives up to it. I call it my sports supposition, because just like in sports, a man decides he could be 10 years old, even less. His dad watches a certain team. That's now his team. It doesn't matter if the team never wins. He doesn't like the coaches. He thinks the players are not good this season, whatever. He never leaves it. You ask any boy or man who he's joined a team, if he's unhappy, to just quit. Anybody who has sons, you'll know this. No, that's being a wuss, or worse word for it. You don't live from your feelings. That's what women do. And this we can look at as a good part. So we want the man to make a formal public decision. I hope that answered your question. So, Opal, or let's say with Rachel a second, and I'll get to Opal, or is it what you've always said, they don't bond without the willingness to be responsible? Yeah, but they can take on the responsibility as long as it's formalized in public, not just moving in, because the statistics show if you move in with a man prior to it, you're typically, statistically, even if you do marry, you are now not at the divorce rate of first marriages, which is about 43%. You're now at the divorce rate of second marriages, which is 62%. That's if you move in without the man having made the decision. That's like engagement, or that you will make some kind of formal public commitment out of it. Listen, does it ever happen that two people move in together and they stay the course for their lifetime? Yes. Is it typical? No. Later in life, does it happen more so than younger in life? Because people can move in later in life for a lot of different reasons, and then the companionship and need of a partner can take over more readily than in younger years. Thank you, that makes sense. Great. Let's get to Opal's question. Regarding thoughts on what to reply with a text I just received. Met my guy earlier this evening for an impromptu, very sweet early supper. Nice. Shortly after we parted, he wrote, "How sexy I looked and always do." How wonderful. Well, how did you reply to that? Isn't that lovely? Be easy for me to respond in kind with a text more on the sexy side, but since I am working on being more connected, do you have any suggestions for a reply? That's a good question. I would put something like, I always love hearing that. Really loved our impromptu meeting. It was so great to spend time together. So you're acknowledging the sexy part. He feels that way. That's great. And then you kind of parlay it into the maybe more connected in how much you appreciate his effort. Because I know for him, there's like effort in getting together as well. You could put that in the text. So, yeah, good. Very glad to hear, Opal, that you were able to do that. I'm going to hop over to Instagram, see if there's any questions there. And as I said, come on over to YouTube to have more questions answered. See the channel. Please do me the solid, if you like any of this content here and you like lives, to comment, subscribe, please, and share this out far and wide to anyone you know that it might be helpful to. Any woman. We want to grow the community, have more women be happy, healthy, and partnered. For the men too, this is needed now more than ever, and I'm happy to be a part of it. You're welcome. So glad you all are here. With that, I'm going to love you and leave you so your man doesn't. I will see you in the next video.